Hi everyone, in this video we will be going to talk about brain rewiring. So if you are someone who wants to fight back an addiction, or if you are a patient of stroke who wants to recover, or if you are a caregiver or a family member of any neuro patients, then you should watch this video. This video is going to be boring, so please hang on if you want to learn anything new about what is brain rewiring. And yeah, let's start. So we will be referring to this document. This document is prepared by me. I will give you the link of document. I will give you the link of research article that helped me in preparing this document. And okay. So before understanding brain rewiring, we should look at what is brain wiring. So brain wiring refers to the connection between neurons, and it looks something like this. So this is neuron, and the connection between neuron looks something like this. The other image that I can show you to understand better is this. So this thing. So I am not able to see it here. This thing, our neurons also looks like this, and looks like this also. So it's a connection between our neuron, right? So wiring means connections between our neurons. And what is neurons? Neurons are the cells of our brain, are the smallest structure of our brain. So it looks something like a web. So this is brain wiring. And if brain wiring is that, then what is the meaning of brain rewiring? Brain rewiring means you are forming a connection again between neurons. Based on what? Based on experience, right? So you do not go inside your brain and do the surgery that I want to move my hand, so you will perform surgery on neurons and connect two neurons. So it does not go like this. If you do like this, then you will not be alive anymore. So what happens is our brain understand experience, and based on experience it forms connections between two neurons, and the connection between two neurons is called as synapse. And how synapse looks like? This is synapse. So synapse is beautiful thing. So what happens when our brain sends a signal, it transfers through synapse to another neuron, and in the same manner the signal, the message transfers through our body, that is generated in the brain. So message generate in our brain, it transfer through our synapses, and actions happens at our finger level or leg level, or I'm speaking, I'm seeing, I'm hearing. So it happens like this. So this is synapse. And so what is biochemical signaling? Biochemical signaling means message that is generating requirement. So the more requirement, the more biochemical signaling. So if you move your hand for learning a guitar, the biochemical signaling between neurons that control the movement of your hand will be more, right? So the synapses and the connection between those neurons will be stronger as compared to other neurons. Like for example, Formula 1 driver have reflex, more better reflex than other persons. The person who is running a marathon have better connections between neurons that perform the legs actions, and it goes like this, right? So the more activity you perform, so the better connections between the neurons that responsible for that kind of activity. So this is called as biochemical signaling, triggered by based on how much those neurons are activated. So brain reorganized throughout the life, and by forming a new neural connection. So the neural connection is a kind of thing which goes on and off throughout the life. And the rerouting thing is, so whenever my area that controls brain get damaged. So what happens is, so the neurons that is responsible for my hand movement are damaged. So what my brain how will my brain adapt? So the brain will form a new route, so that we are calling rerouting to the undamaged area, right? My undamaged area of the brain will adapt, and it will depend on activity. So it's kind of a forest. So when we pass through a forest multiple time, what happens is a new route will appear, right? So this kind of routes appear when we pass through a forest multiple times. And what happens when we will stop passing through this lane for like 1 year? It is just like another area of our forest. So same is our brain is like a forest where paths are gradually worn or abandoned based on use. So neurons fire in a newer pattern, triggered gene program, dendrons growth. And how these neurons forms connections? These neurons form connections by let me show you dendrons. So this is a neuron. Consider this is a neuron, and that tree-like structure is called dendrons. And when we perform an activity, what happens is the the neuron that is responsible for that kind of activity, their dendrons grow, and their dendrons grow, and it connects to the dendrons of other neuron. So the activity gets stronger, the message gets stronger, the connection gets stronger. So dendrons are the tree-like structure. So what happen is I'm learning to drive a car. So the gene that is responsible for the particular brain area adapt, and in return what will happen, my dendrons will grow. So here also you can see the dendrons and the connections between them. So this thing here, this is the dendrons, that roots like structure you see here, and this thing is synapse, and the big black thing you see here is a body of neuron, right? So I hope you are understanding till now. So dendrons are the tree-like structure of neurons, while other grow, or some grows and some retract based on use. Simple. Different activity, overlapping activity. So what's suggested is that you should perform different kind of activity while recovering, or while detaching yourself from addiction. Why? Because the more different kind of activity, the more better coordination among the neurons. How one neuron already connected to another neuron, so you will learn things fast, and you will better adapt to, because some activities, some incidents are not planned in our life, for like accidents, for like in fright or flight response, or like there is a lion behind you and you have to run. So your neurons will fire in a pattern, and they will understand how to fire, and the connection is already there, so it will not be very difficult for you. So that is why it is recommended to do different kind of activity, overlapping networks. You will learn things fast when you will do different kind of activity, because the connection gets this like thing, and the more interconnected pattern, the more better is your brain. High demand leads to what? Structural and functional changes in neurons, like this cognitive result. So what is cognitive result? So cognitive result is a very interesting thing. It's like a cells that is responsible for repair. So our brain kept a reserve of that kind of cells. So whenever an area get damaged, brain sends that kind of cells there, and the area is recovered now. So this thing is called cognitive reserve. Once a brain cells get damaged, difficult to repair. So it depends on the age. In young age, the brain cell recover fast. In old age, it recovers slow, because our whole body gets degenerated as we grow. So it also applies to our brain. The brain cells is very critical area because it already recovers very slow, and when we grow, the recovery rate becomes even slower. So you should understand this thing. But cerebral cortex modifies function throughout the life, so you should understand this. What is cerebral cortex? First thing first, right? So this thing you see here, this thing, this is the cerebral cortex. This is the cerebral cortex. This rubber like structure, like elastic worm like structure you see, this is all, this is the cerebral structure. It's the outer covering of your brain. It's the outer covering of your brain. It's called cerebral structure. Cerebral structure modifies function throughout its life. So for example, this area is damaged, so what will happen eventually? This area will be assigned that task. It's as simple as that. So cerebral cortex is a good part. It's a good thing. It's also called as neocortex. Some called cerebral cortex as neocortex. So cerebral cortex or neocortex is similar. Physical activity improves cerebral blood flow. Hippocampus is a great area. So if you forget things easily, then you should train yourself a lot, so your hippocampus will be stronger. In that manner, what will happen? Short-term memory into long-term memory. It's a good thing. I thought let's add this because it's also related to it was relevant for the topic, so I added it here. Melodic intonation therapy, it's let me explain you. So what happens is, right now I'm speaking, my different kind of brain cells is activated right now, but when I will be singing, different brain neurons will be activated. So you understood, two different kind of brain neurons are activated for both singing and speaking. So what happens is, for example, stroke patient, they have difficulty to explain sometimes, depends on the area. So it's generally recommended that encourage them to sing. And what sing? Emotional songs that they used to sing in childhood. So what will happen is, the neurons that responsible for sing and also adapt for our speech. So melodic intonation therapy, Ed Sheeran, he can sing well but have difficulty in speaking. He's stammer, and there are many cases like Ed Sheeran. So melodic intonation therapy can be applied to the patient with non-fluent aphasia. Aphasia means difficulty in speaking. And TMS, transcranial magnetic stimulation, is used for generally used for the addiction patient. So what happens is, the area that needs to be stimulated, we place that machine which sends magnetic radiation over that area, and it activates the dormant circuit that is not being used by our brain. So the magnetic radiation sends a signal that this route is activated, this route is going through a lot of stress. So our brain sends signal, starts to send signal. So that thing is called as a biochemical signaling that we understood here. So brain rewiring, and so one thing you should understood about brain rewiring, it's not guaranteed thing, right? Because if brain rewiring is guaranteed, then why people with depression are not being uh, recovered 100%, right? So brain rewiring have its limitations. Neuroplasticity, I will tell you what is neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity is ability to adapt. As simple as that. So it has limits. Our brain rewiring has limits. So both neuroplasticity and brain rewiring are synonymous to each other. uh, Brain rewiring also depends on your age, sex, and gender. Sex and gender are both same thing. Your emotional state, do you want to recover, and what you think what life is. So if you want, if your patient or if your family member thinks like he do not want to, sir, he do not want to live, so you should understand his emotional state, because brain rewiring depends on the emotional state. The more charisma is in his, you should motivate them a lot. And it also depends on your experience and the family members, and how the family members is treating the patients. So what happens is alters their synaptic organization. So in simple words, both neuroplasticity and brain rewiring is unpredicted. It is highly unpredicted, but it helps you in some way. It cannot recover you 100%, but 50-60% it can help you. And neuroplasticity is more prominent in our youth rather than old age. So you should also remember that you should not think like it's going to treat you 100%. So it's a fact that no one tells you, but I'm telling you here because I know my ethics. I should not commit you the false promises. And if you want to learn more about what is brain rewiring, and you should read about this article. I will give you a link of this article in the description. And if you have any kind of doubts, I am a physiotherapist, so I understand this thing. So if you are looking for any kind of help, just tell me. One more thing is that why brain rewiring is important these days, apart from stroke patient or addiction patient, is that digital detoxing. It's very important. What happens is when we wake up in the morning, what we do scroll Instagram. And scrolling Instagram or any kind of social media, it's a addiction that is worse these days. So if you are recovering from this thing, try to understand what is brain rewiring and neuroplasticity. It's a good topic that everyone should know about.